I would say go ahead and take it away. I'm showing 8 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get started.
All right.
So
Thanks
with that,
everybody for
everybody, here you go.
tuning in. I am continually surprised that we actually have people attending. I don't really think it's because I'm a great presenter, but I'll try and cover stuff again tonight, and hopefully you guys will find some features at the site useful, and we'll all learn a little bit more about manifest investing. We haven't introduced a ton of new features in the past few weeks, but there are a few forum-related changes, some things I wanted to point out for dashboards and public dashboards, and I think that's about it. And then we'll go to a Q&A and people can just guide me from there. One thing I wanted to point out is that we've made a few changes on the forum, making it easier to find things. For one, when you have messages, it'll actually show you the number of unread messages right next to the messages link, so there's no need to click on it like I do often, hoping that maybe there's a message there and the site's not telling me that. I don't get many messages. I think Mark gets the majority of the messages on the site. But I logged in to another account and reminded myself about the webinar tonight. Once you read a message, that one that was next to it will disappear. So you'll know that you don't have messages excuse me, waiting there for you. We'll go back to the forum.
And there's a notification on the homepage also, Kurt.
There is a
Isn't that right?
notification, but that'll
When you have
disappear now that I actually read it. So if you go to the
right,
homepage right here, you'll see a message link.
Cool.
Hold on, I'm going to change windows real quick. Did this so I can demonstrate a few of the icons that have caused people some trouble over the last few weeks. If we look on the forum, if you haven't been there for a little while, oops, what is wrong? Okay. You'll see the little green icons for different boards. Those icons represent boards that have new posts on them. If you click into a board that has a new post, any topic that has a green icon next to it is a topic that has a new post in it. And then if you click into that post, or excuse me, that topic, and scroll down, we'll see down near the bottom the icons are green for posts that have been added to the thread since you last visited that thread. If we go back to the general discussion, the thread that we just went into now does not have that green icon. There's a number of ways that you can find some of these things. We can use the link here called Recent Posts, and it'll go through and categorize all of the posts that are new since the last time, new posts since the last time you visited. And they're slightly indented by topic, so there's at least some indication when you're scrolling down of topics that you have not read in the post, so you can try and scroll through that and read it. Not really something I use, and it's probably more useful if you visit the site frequently, so there's not hundreds of posts here. Unread posts, recent posts work slightly different than unread posts. Every time you click on the forum link at the top, we track the prior visit, the last time you clicked on that link, and the time just now that you clicked on the link. And then we take a look at posts on the forum that were posted between those two times that you clicked it. So if you come up here and you click it twice in a row, you're not going to get any recent posts. But if you came to the site yesterday, clicked on forums, read new posts, came back today, clicked on forums, and clicked recent posts, you'd get anything that was posted between those two dates. If you click on unread posts, that's actually every post that you have not clicked into a topic and read on the site for the last, I believe, 21 days it'll track. So each time you go to a board and then click on a topic in that board, it adds it to the database and says, okay, you've read this topic, and it takes a date and says when you read it last. So we can check those and check all of the topics and tell you which posts have been unread. It doesn't necessarily mean you read them, but you did click into them. So hopefully those things are clear. If we go back to the forum, and we'll use one last link called Mark All Read, and it does exactly what it sounds like. It marks all of those green icons as read, or all of those topics as read, and all the green icons go away. It doesn't really do that. It just assigns the time that you last clicked that and then compares that to the last topic times. So we don't actually assign all of those as read in the database, but it's a way to get rid of all the green icons so that when you come back tomorrow, it's just post since the last visit that will show up as unread. Oh yeah, subscriptions. The other option that we have that's new here is if you click on options, it'll take you to your user page where you can edit a few options. We have forum subscriptions, and what these are, you can check any board, and any posts that were made during the day will be emailed to you in a nightly digest of that board. So you'd get, for anything that you check, you would get an email if new posts were made on that board. So in this case, if new posts were made to general discussion, stocks, and funds, you'd get 3 emails that night with topics and the content of each post sent to you. You can also scroll down and assign a signature. And if you update that, and we go back to the forum, I don't think I've actually made a topic, but we'll do something here. We'll just post a quick post, and you'll now have a signature under your name. We ask that you don't link to an outside for-profit company. You don't link to outside events unless Manifest Investing is attending. So we try and keep it just to perhaps your name and content like that. But if we'll ask you kindly if we think there's a problem, then have you change it. Any questions on the forum?
One thing that I think you might reinforce, Kurt, because I think this is really cool, is the fact that the search now includes both the total website and the forums.
Oh, sure. If we go to search and we search for what I just did, let's see if it works. No, it didn't. Did it get tested? Yeah.
Of those.
I think it just did get the one that I did. No, didn't. That was May 1st.
Well, skip the post results.
Oh, yeah, skip the post. That's right. There we go. Suggestion box test. So as soon as posts and articles are posted to the website, they're also indexed and added to the search. So it's fairly instantaneous. As soon as these things change, you can get them in your search results. So I forgot I rearranged those. We had some feedback that says there's less article results than there are forum post results, so why don't you flip them around so we don't have to scroll through all the posts. You can also use these nifty links at the top and bottom. That'll skip you right down.
A ticker symbol in there too, just to show that it's going to grab articles and posts. Yeah, we never talk about that one.
Nah, it's just one of the ones that I happen to always remember. So we'll look for Microsoft, and you can enter any ticker. If it recognizes it as a company, your search, it'll also add it to the sidebar, or fund. It'll have article results where that ticker was mentioned, and you can skip down to the posts and find any post. All of it's date ordered, and we stick a little bit of the content in for you to read. It's not necessarily the content that mentions the search results, but at some point I think I'll try and do that. That's all the nifty stuff we've done for search. I did want to point out a new search feature at the site. If we click to the home page, and actually hold on, I'm going to change back to my other browser.
While you're running around, Kurt, Dan Hornick would like to know, are the searches sorted by date or relevancy?
Right now they're sorted by date. I was having a little bit of trouble with the relevancy, assigning a score for relevancy and retrieving that score to sort by, but some recent changes in the search application that we use should make that easier. I just have to put some time into trying to assign a relevancy score and then using that for sorting. I'll probably do that about the same time that I tackle providing an excerpt that matches your search criteria, so you actually see the context that you're your search result in the result, the text that's displayed. So we will try and achieve those or add those things. I can't really say to when it'll be done, but if enough people nag me about things, that's typically what I try and tackle first, unless there's mission critical stuff to do. All right, so now I'm back to the browser I like. We'll go to the home page, and there probably should be a better link to public dashboards, but if we come down here and click on more, you'll get a list of the administrative public dashboards. And if we come up here now, there was no way to find a user-specific one, but now there's a search criteria field, and if you add some text and click search, you'll get all of the public dashboards published, I should say, not public, published dashboards with that criteria in it. And it'll search in the name, the description, and then also in what's called the slug, which is this last little bit of text here for the public dashboard. It's a unique identifier that you can assign for your dashboard, your published dashboard. So it'll search those three fields in the database for that text that you used in the search criteria, and it'll return the results and allow you to find dashboards. I have not made it possible for people to search by username. I really have no intention of allowing that. There are plenty of ways to mine the usernames on our site, but I don't want to make it so obviously easy just to go to a page and see everyone's username and be able to do it by that. So at this point, you'll have to have some sort of criteria in mind to search for those dashboards.
You know, I think you should probably reinforce, Kurt, that you typed model in for finding that list of dashboards.
Right.
MODEL, and that's really a pretty powerful search. You guys, a lot of you guys out there will recognize many of those Better Investing chapter model clubs, and we've talked about a number of these, and in fact, I expect to see a few more pop in there. But yeah, that's an excellent thing to search on for published dashboards.
And you can obviously search on just TinCup. Another way that you can find dashboards is by user ID. Just to point it out, the user ID is this last little bit of text. It's not necessarily someone's name, but in most cases it's the name, all lowercase with no spaces in between the first and last name is someone's username. So we could also look at Ken Kavula, and if you scroll to the bottom of their user page, you'll see their public dashboards for that specific user. So if you have a user or someone that you know who's posted a dashboard, that's another way to find it. I think that's all the changes we've done there. One of the sort of lingering issues we've had with people making a request saying I have holdings that you don't cover and you don't allow me to add shares or provide a value. So I tried to tackle that one this week, and I think we've made some progress there. If I can find one of my dashboards. So in this case, you'll note that FXI is not underlined, not linked. That means we don't cover that. We don't have a page that will show any information for FXI. But now you have entered shares in this dashboard, and we do have a price, and it does calculate a value. The total value does add that value for that holding, and it'll show you the percent of total, but it does not impact any of the averages line. If we click Show Charts, you'll note that there's a new entry in these as well for uncovered holdings, so that at least you can see based on that holding that we don't have any information for those. So I don't know if Mark really okayed that one, but since we did that way for funds, I thought I'd do it that way for uncovered holdings as well.
It's okay for now, and you know, this is an excellent example. This is a fund. It's an exchange traded fund that we probably will be covering very soon, and just kind of a shout out or a reach out to all of you if you have stocks or funds that are in your 401k or whatever, and you'd like to see covered. Throw them into your dashboards. They'll show up here now and be counted. But Kurt has also built behind the scenes a really cool admin tool for us to watch for the most frequently requested uncovered stocks and funds, and frankly, the funds are so much easier to cover now. It's well worth your while to do that. And some of those laundry lists that you guys have seen us get from time to time, we can actually do those now. So
it
just
should
an
be
appeal.
easier for us to do that. We do track all of the holdings that are uncovered, not covered by manifest investing, and there's an admin interface that will show us which fund or which holding it is, and the ones with the most entries in the database trickle to the top. So
Yeah, we'll be chopping those down. Kurt, we have a question from Don Lanau. He's wondering if you're going to weed out old, I assume he means dashboards, and those that are not used, different clubs and that kind of stuff that's, stale or old dashboards. Any thoughts on that?
in what manner? I mean, we'll never delete someone's content. If a user is no longer either a trial subscriber or a member of Manifest, public or published dashboards will no longer show up. So you won't get those in results. The top 40 only takes into account active trials and active subscribers now, so there's not really a chance of stale data there. But other than that, I'm not sure what else needs to be weeded out. Perhaps holdings that are no longer. I'm not really sure after that.
Yeah, I did notice a couple holdings that are at the top of that uncovered list that are actually no longer available. So, Don, if you can clarify if you were looking for any more there. And he also went on to ask, can we put in our government TSP accounts and symbols in dashboards? And yes, we are working on that. That should be available relatively soon. In fact, there's a member of Kurt's household that's probably very interested in that one.
That's right. We were just looking at this and trying to find exactly what they line up with so that we could get some examples of those in there, because I often ask the same question. My wife is a government employee, and we have a TSP account, so I'm interested as well. Let's see. What else do we have? Well, now we need more questions or more hands to go up, because I've run out of things that are new since the last time we've done this, and unless I'm forgetting things that I've done, we're always working in the background. Just for those who are maybe curious, or we're not really numbering each release. There's no Manifest 2.01 or 2.02, but since the day we've released, we've had 173 additional releases for whatever minor changes I'm working on that day. So the site is constantly being revised and worked on, but we don't necessarily publish the fact that we've made changes overnight.
Well, Kurt, while we're waiting
yes.
for other questions and answers, why don't you go ahead and walk through a worksheet? I know that there are new people here, so
okay. I see new questions, so I'm going to start with that for a second. You're watching questions
too, huh?
Well, I have two monitors, so it's very easy. Dan Hornick asks, can you show how to view the expected returns newsletter in PDF format? I know I've made this more complicated than it probably needs to be, but if you click on issues at the top and scroll down to the issue you want to find, in this case the most recent one, expected returns June 2011, over on the right you'll see an icon, and if you mouse over that, it says view issue as PDF, so we'll click on that one. And you should have the PDF load. I think actually that reminds me, I have a support question to answer. Somebody was not loading this, it was just closing automatically. So that's where they are today. I meant to move them to more accessible location, but if you click on issues, and any issue should have the PDF for it right there. We also have a few additional questions. Let's see. Don followed up and says, multiple dashboards saying with the same model club name, 2006, 2007, 2009. Let's take a look. So if we go back to model dashboards.
Yeah, some of those are intentional, though. Those are not duplicates. Those are, for instance, when we have the Stock Talk sessions at the National Convention, it's the same name with different years. There you go. Those are
Right.
three completely different dashboards, even though the names are similar.
So this will track, in this case, it's more of a watch list of how those companies have done since their picks. So you could come back to these, and the original value was $100, so that's gone up quite a bit for us. We have all right. So Mark had requested a walkthrough of the worksheet again, so we'll go take a look at that, and then we'll catch up on a few questions that we've had as well. So if we go to let's see what this one is, new dashboard. From any dashboard, you can click on copy to worksheet. If you already have an existing worksheet, the data that you're copying overwrites that data, and you start the worksheet over basically from scratch with the data that is in the dashboard that you just copied over. So we'll start with copy to worksheet. Once you get to the worksheet, I apparently have broken charts.
Really?
It's not,
It was working earlier.
not good. Hold on while I make a note. Luckily, the guy making the presentation is also the guy who has to fix it. So tomorrow, if we were to come back and try this again, the charts that we just saw down here will also be on the next page. So we'll go back to view worksheet, and I have no idea why that happened.
Just try switching to a new dashboard, Kurt, because it's working for me.
Really?
Yep.
Hold on. Let me try it from my other browser where I don't have a ton of old stale cookies.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not working on the worksheet itself.
Exactly, on the worksheet
Okay.
itself.
It is on the dashboard itself, though.
All right. That's odd. So anyway, we'll do it without charts just to show a few things. From the worksheet, you can take any entry and either delete the holding or move it down and make it inactive if you just want to set it aside. Making it inactive pushes that holding down to the inactive table and makes a few changes up here. It takes the cash that was from this value here and adds it to your cash line, and it adjusts all of your averages. And then perhaps we can play with that by adding, oh, Mark, give me a high quality company.
Ford.
Ford. Oh, man. What's the price at right now? Just out of
About
curiosity.
13.
13, so we'll do a big holding. Bigger. There we go. That used up most of our cash. So that's not exactly what I was looking for, but it still had an effect of raising the par and probably lowering our overall quality. So those changes are sort of made on the fly. You can come in and adjust the share values.
Now you can fix it.
Now I can fix it. Well,
yeah,
we can
set the Ford aside and put something else in there.
All right, so we'll take Ford and set it aside. The only problem and the thing that I still have trouble with is by adding cash, we also lower the par, so you don't. I have to sort of remember where it was, but Mark insists that that's the right way to do it. So.
Because it is the right way.
That's right. So we'll cancel that, and now give me a company, Mark.
Throw some Teva, T-E-V-A.
All right, thank you. And I don't remember what their price is right now, but I think it's. So now we have definitely seen by adding a higher quality and a higher par company, the overall par and the overall quality have gone up. So it's a way to quickly sandbox some ideas on your dashboard and see the results of changes, perhaps talk it over in a club setting. And once I fix it, you'll also see that the charts will update on the fly. And when you're done with this, you can save it back to a new dashboard, and it'll generate a new name for you that you can go in and edit if you wanted. So we'll call it Save Changes. And then you'll have a new dashboard to work with charts that work at the bottom. Excellent. So now we have a couple of other questions that we can go to. We still have
Yeah,
a couple of questions on Mark. We talked about this before some people arrived, but why don't you tell them when the new user guide's coming out?
uh, tonight is beat up on Mark night. We're working on it. It should be out soon, probably within the next week or so.
Oops, I
I
do
see
have
Gail
a
Olson wants you to show him where to find his groundhog dashboard.
his groundhog dashboard.
So
Let's
go
see.
into forum.
Wait. Didn't we make a fun page for that? That's right.
We did groundhog challenge, and then it's in the directory, and then the link is actually at the bottom of that page. There it is. That 2011. No, a little farther up. 2011 directory. Then we'll make the
Aha.
names go away shortly.
Mark was asking me to build a table that he could put in the forum, and I just decided to make it actually dynamic and update on the fly. So we have taken the dashboard groundhog scoreboard and made a page where you can go and actually click on people's names and see their public dashboard for that contestant. And this is always up to date, and the links are always working, and it should have
Yeah,
everybody in the contest.
we're a couple holdings behind, but we'll be catching up here shortly. So
Right. I'm not necessarily saying that the holdings that you may have asked for to be changed are updated immediately, but this page, the links are always working, and you can always see the current value and so forth, and it is sortable on any value. So you can take a look and browse the scoreboard. So, and if anybody wanted the link, it's right up here at the top. I'll take off that. It's just Manifest Investing Groundhog _ scoreboard. So
Kurt, we do have a hand in there. I'm going to go ahead and see if Donna Lane. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you if you have an active microphone. Donna, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Donna.
Hi, Ken.
This is actually Mark, and Kurt is actually giving the tour. What's on your mind tonight, Donna?
It dealt with the eagle, and I was told that Kurt told me about the eagle, but I didn't really understand. And how do I find more information about the eagle? Doesn't mean
Well,
anything.
we could search on Eagle and see what we get. It obviously is going to be covered in the user's guide. Probably the best place would be in posts where we actually have an eagle. Kurt is skipping down to the posts. So, for example, today there was an eagle displayed in the Ford, but what you probably want is actually like the tutorial.
Right.
And probably the easiest place to find that, Donna, is on the Facebook page. There's one there. He's actually clicking on the forum version of it. So you can actually find the Coca-Cola one there, and then there it is right there. There's actually a demo. Kurt, you might show exactly what you clicked on to get to that, but there's actually a YouTube demo that walks through and shows the source of the data and the inputs. And I'll throw a caveat at everybody. We've pretty much abandoned those two little slots at the bottom, and we're sticking with the equity analysis guide as it was posted for Ford today.
So if I understand you correctly, go to Coca-Cola equity analysis and kind of see if that explains my question. Yes?
I think it will, and if it doesn't, just either email me or post something on the forum, and we'll take another shot at it. But that's
Okay.
a step through the guide. And as Kurt was showing you, there are a bunch of links to various parts, including we do occasionally put one of the spreadsheets and embed it right in one of the stock pages, the topics on the forum. So you can actually get working copies of the spreadsheet itself, too.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I've got another question here from Alvaro Pena. How do we export to Excel stock par analysis? I think we have no direct export to Excel. I've been told by a few people who use Excel and frequently, namely Jim Thomas, that he's able to right-click on these and actually right-click on a table at the site, and a little pop-up option comes up as Save to Excel. I've never had that working in either of my browsers, but we don't have any specific export for Excel or CSV file, comma separated value file here. But if you do go to your dashboard page and grab a dashboard, there is an export to CSV option, which will export a file for you. And that file is formatted to be easily opened in Excel. So you can try that. There's also other options. We do have an XML page, which doesn't mean much to most people, but it's a method for easily capturing data and sort of processing it with a script or another file or another program. So I'm not sure that probably covers exactly what you want to do, but there are some options for pulling data from the site if you're in the dashboard. And I could probably make the same sort of export available from the stocks page. I just have to try and format that for that as well. So, Mark, do you have another question for us yet?
Oh, I'm just looking over. Richard Mills would like you to, on the worksheet copy, make sure that the MyPar and the sweet spot box is in the top right-hand corner like it is on the dashboard. Apparently, when you copy the worksheet, that box goes away.
Where'd it go?
Well, let's add that to your list. I thought it was there too.
I must have made a change that, yeah, I was working on a fix for something, and I think I screwed up a template here. Had my par box back. Actually, I know exactly what it was. If you sign out, or what some people had pointed out to me is if you go to a published dashboard and take a look at it, it has charts. But if you then signed out, say you referenced, you did one for your club and had your club members come and take a look at it, that published dashboard no longer had charts. The charts were missing. So while I did manage to fix that bug, apparently I introduced another one. So it now works when you're signed out, but apparently I made a change that affected the worksheet without a test there to tell me that I screwed that one up. So we have a question from Gail again. Will the user's guide be printable? Most definitely. We'll probably have it in multiple formats.
Yeah, you can be assured that will be the case.
At the very least, we'll have a full PDF of the content in some fashion, and that'll be easily printable, and we'll probably have it spread out into article fashion as well, so you can use it directly through the website and print those pages too.
Now, Ann Manning has a question about printing, and I'm wondering if this might be more of a Excel question, Kurt, but she says, while we're talking about eagles, can you tell us how to get rid of the colors? She wants to print them, but doesn't really want to use lots of ink to print the bright yellow sections. So
if it's in Excel, I know in your browser you can go and turn off background color when you print. I imagine in Excel there's an option. I'm not sure where in Excel I'd have to look, but I could probably take a look when we're done here, open it up and try. But it's typically a background or cell or shading option that you can turn off in Excel to make it stop printing the cell shading colors. But I really am not sure which menu it's under. I'll try and figure it out and send you a message, Ann. All right.
Okay, we do have a question on how do we export to Excel a stock par analysis. I think was that what you were dealing with before with the
Yeah, I see Alvaro followed up and asked where do we find an Excel template to do a stock par calculation. That's probably the Eagle, Alvaro. Mark has the Eagle is an Excel file that you can use to modify some of the expectations and create, I suppose, your own par and quality rating. But it's where do we find the actual file, Mark? Is it under that Coca-Cola one that I did?
there is one there. We occasionally post them. We've never actually posted a directory of them at any point. And actually, I'm letting a cat out of the bag, but pretty soon we'll probably have more of an online version. Are you switching to the post? Yeah. So you can actually look in one of those and find.
I believe it's attached there. Yeah.
There you go.
So I won't open it right now, but that's the place to get at least a spreadsheet to work from. We're definitely have it.
Why don't you just do a search by XLS or .xls and see how many of them come up?
Because I'm fairly sure that's not actually indexed in the search result, but I'll try.
Okay.
I don't think the attachment is in the search result. Oh man, you're making a liar out of me. There it is. Okay, so I lied. I apparently did index the Excel files. So you can find any attachment just by searching for .xls in the criteria.
I'm surprised we're not seeing more of them, but we haven't posted a whole lot of them lately.
Actually, no, that's just finding the text that's in the body. It's not actually finding the attachment. So. Let's see, what else do we have tonight? Anne, we do have, Anne asked if we're being recorded tonight, and Dan typically records, and Dan says yes, it is being recorded. So within a few days, he'll update the video link and should have a link to this recording. So you should be able to review the first 30 minutes. Gail asks, I can't navigate from Toolkit 6 directly to Manifest as I could before. Gail, that's because they were using sort of a shortcut to get data, but if you sign in to the site first and then go to Toolkit and click on the same links, they should work. Unless I'm missing something, but I installed the Toolkit trial, and the only thing I had to do was sign in and then click on the links, and it did work. I'm not sure if they had any other sections in Toolkit that used manifest data, but I'm pretty sure the one that I found did work once I signed in. So you could try that if you're a Toolkit user. Mark, do you want to try explaining MyPar and Sweet Spot in a little bit of detail?
Oh, okay. In fact, let's go ahead and unmute. I see it's Donna that's got the question. Let's go ahead and unmute Donna. Donna, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, let's go ahead. I can
Hello.
hear you fine. Can you hear me okay? Did you
Yes,
mute
I can.
us? Okay, explaining MyPar. We'll start with MyPar. We kind of consider MyPar to be an overall barometer of the stock market. And what it represents is it's the median projected return. We cover about 2,500 or 2,600 stocks at Manifest on a continuous basis. That's basically updating every night. And with MyPar, you're looking at the middle or the median stock. So right now, is it up to 8.7? How much did the stock market go down today? Must have gone down a little bit today. The median projected return, you can see there. Kurt's going to actually go look for us. Is 8.7%. So looks to me like the stock market took a bit of a tumble this afternoon. How do I know that? Because the median projected return went up compared to where it closed last week. So again, it's a barometer. It's an indication of the general level of projected returns in the stock market. That number, to give it some context, ranges from, we expect it to go as low as 0 in a serious bull market, and we saw it go as high as 20. In fact, Kurt, if you want to pull up the Sweet 16, he's already going there. And maybe you can blow up your screen a little bit so we can see that a little bit better. I'm going to zoom in for you, Donna.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see that chart on the left there. That gives you some idea of how much it's moved around, and that's just in the last 3 to 4 years. So again, during the Great Recession, during that bear market, you can see that the median projected return on all of our stocks got up to almost 20%. And that was, in our opinion, clearly a kind of a back up the truck moment for investors. Now the flip side of that, and we're kind of approaching that now, is on the right-hand side where we're down in that 7 to 8% range. That's just a range where we counsel that it might make sense to be a little more careful. Right in this article, Saya has talked about, reach for a higher quality and financial strength because that can be protective in the case of a correction or a bear market. So that's what it is. That's what my par is. It's the median return of all stocks. And again, that we also use it for some asset allocation type concepts also. Now the sweet spot is simply kind of a shopping guide for us. We always want to be 5 to 10% above that MyPar. So with MyPar at 8%, or you can see right there, 8.7%, the sweet spot is 5 to 10%. We want to try to find stocks and keep our portfolios, that 5 percentage points higher than the market. But we place an upper limit on it, that 18.7%, because we did some research and proved what we would instinctively know, that when if you went out and grabbed a bunch of 40% and 50% return stocks, that's not going to work out very well either. Just raises your the likelihood that you're going to hit some strikeouts. So in that sweet spot, you actually have a better statistical chance of outperforming the market, and that's basically the same thing that Benjamin Graham would have referred to as a margin of safety. So the sweet spot itself is it's built to do that. So Kurt, you might search on sweet spot, and that should take us to an article. If we can't find it here, we can certainly find it from the glossary. And if you switch to articles or go down to the early articles when we first started back in, you can see it's been mentioned in a lot of articles, obviously. Almost there. There you go. And I think it's that sweet spot speculation. That was an article that we wrote back in May 2005 where we described the sweet spot, Donna. And then a few months later, we shared some of the research behind it. So again, it's just the concept of giving us a target range for our shopping efforts, and that's why it's displayed on the dashboard pages as you've seen it. Again, that 5 to 10% range, percentage points above the market itself, is where we want to be doing our shopping efforts. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have? I'm going to go ahead and mute you again, Donna. Anne is sharing a comment that she just went and checked Excel, clicking on the cell when you want to change the color, format cell, and yes, you can reformat the spreadsheet to take away the background colors.
Yeah, I know, Anne, that there's also a way in the print options to tell it not to do that, not to print any background colors for cells as well. I just have to find the right spot for you. We'll take care of that.
We get the question, the flip. the flip side of that question, we get questions from people who want to print the colors and can't get their machine to do it. So.
Well, we're running a bit low on questions tonight. Are there any other features that anyone wants me to cover? I think we can probably talk a bit on items that we hope to cover. Like Mark was saying, we're definitely considering methods for incorporating eagles and being able to do that within the site and not having it as a Excel spreadsheet. Whether or not you'll be able to use those saved values anywhere else on the site, or if it'll just be something that you can manipulate to see how things change is still up in the air and under discussion, but it's definitely on the drawing board for development.
Yeah, we actually have all the pieces to do the equity analysis guides online in place. So well, here's a question from Alvaro. He wants to know, what does exactly the calculated par value represent? Well, one of the things that we might refer back to is the cover story from this month. Kurt, if you want to take him to this month's issue, that signal crossing, we actually tackled that a little bit in terms of defining the signal characteristics of what the par is. What is the par? It's the projected annual return. It's the combination of the price appreciation plus the dividend yield. And that's what you see on any company summary, those two things added together. And it literally represents the forecasted return, including price appreciation and annualized dividend yield. So again, it's a signal, it's a guide to all that we do. Can you show us what an equity analysis forum looks like? Judy Wisnowski. Kurt, if you go to the forum, and you can actually show them what one looks like for a very unusual type of company. We did an analysis of one of those general market securities today, go into stocks and go into Ford. And the reason we took a look at Ford today was Morningstar featured it as a 5-star stock. And there's some analysis, some discussion of what type of stuff went into the analysis, but down at the very bottom you can actually see a screenshot, and I'll go ahead and put the Excel spreadsheet. And again, this is specific to cyclical companies because this is Ford. You can see that we've actually substituted cash flow for earnings. Now, some of you may not be ready for that, but some of the more intermediate or advanced people in the crowd, you can see, how we completed an analysis on a fairly challenging, deep cyclical company, and that's what the equity analysis guide for Ford looks like.
All right, we had a question to take a quick look at the stock search, the screener. So we can go over here. There are some features that were new if you haven't used the site too extensively since we released the new site. Right up at the top, you'll note that you can now save a search. If you add any content here, any text, you'll be able to recall that save search at a later date. One of the new things that we also added was the use sweet spot. That sort of works in conjunction with a save search. What it'll do is automatically use the sweet spot and find companies that were within that sweet spot. But on a save search, it automatically, when you come back at a later date, if the sweet spot is changed, that will always use the current sweet spot, not the sweet spot that you may have added. If you want to do a fixed range, you could use the projected return and do a fixed range. That'll always be the same when you come back. So we can do that. One of the new features on this is also the manifest rank down here at the bottom. Manifest rank is basically a calculated combination of par and quality. If you look for some of the best, Mark's been using it for the Sweet 16 a bit. But we'll just try 98 and see what that gets us. So you'll get a great selection of quality companies with a reasonable par to take a look at without doing much more work on the screener. If we come back here and revise the search, we can add a few more items. The two features down here at the bottom are from CAPS, STARS, and CASPI. We've also added current price, so you can, I suppose, screen out penny stocks if you wanted to, put in at least a minimum price there. So we'll use the sweet spot again, perhaps out of growth. That's not what I wanted. And do that. Did you have any specific questions on how to use the search? There aren't too many new features, but it allows for quite a bit of customization in the fields that you can query, at least fields that we track. One other item that we do is we now have the criteria from your search on the sidebar, so you can, when you come back at a later date and use one of your searches, you can find what you may have screened on.
In this month's cover story or the monthly newsletter, Kurt, if you want to hit stock search and hit under manifest rank, enter 99.44. That's the ivory soap stream that I use. And that gives you a pretty tight list. And so you're looking literally at the top half of 1 percentile of stocks using the manifest rank. Now that doesn't, there are going to be some stocks with higher projected returns, but let's say, for example, you were dealing with a penny stock that had a projected return of 50. We actually begin penalizing. The farther they get away from my par, we penalize them, and they actually don't show up in the rank. We penalize them. So a projected return of 40 or 50 is treated with great skepticism by the rank. But here you can see these are all fairly high quality, and most of them are in the sweet spot. Apple is just barely out of the sweet spot. So the combination of being just barely out of the sweet spot with Apple's high quality rating is what lands it on this list. So that's a quick one. Alvaro would like to know, is that maximum projected return or average projected return? Everything we do is based off of nominal conditions or average conditions. So we're basically talking about projected average returns. Okay. Ann Manning would like to know, would it be possible in the future, Kurt, to have your criteria for a search to be printed on a printed search list? That goes in with some of the stuff you're working on now.
Yep. There's a number of requests for the sidebar content to be added back to the printed page. Typically when you print and you develop a style sheet for printing, when you're developing a website, you strip out all of the stuff that you don't want, and you make the main content area the part of the main printed page, and the sidebar is stripped so that it doesn't make the print too ugly. But we'll try and add that back in some fashion without it making the print too ugly, and either by sticking it at the bottom of the printed page or simply squeezing the chart in. But the main reason for the sidebar disappearing and the criteria stuff disappearing was to give you more real estate for the actual content, which is in this page here, the table, so that prints as nicely as possible with as much room as possible.
Yeah, but playing devil's advocate, I can understand why a user would want that criteria to print.
Oh yeah. Yep, I'll try and get it back, the sidebar content back into the print job fairly soon.
Anybody else? I don't see any hands in the air. We're coming up on an hour. We do like to keep these to an hour. Does anybody have any other questions and comments to enter in the question box, or anybody want to raise their hand for last call? And you don't have to panic. Kurt is pretty much committed to doing this type of thing on a fairly regular basis. And one of the things that we are working on is with the user's guide, we will be out with a number of programs. In fact, I'm looking at having some multiple segment programs probably on a couple of weekends here in the summertime, and we'll obviously record them and make them available at your own convenience, but we will have a number of sessions focused on all this stuff.
I can't guarantee that we'll always have new stuff to talk about, but I've told Mark that I want to keep doing this each month so that I can hear what's on people's minds and make sure that we're on track, at least trying to address concerns that people feel are fresh and worth talking about, and continue adding to the site and talking about it. So I enjoy getting to talk about the work and hope everybody's enjoying the site.
Well, one thing I know, Kurt, is every time that we show, things like the forum functionality at the live events, people are just go bananas over the things that they didn't know they could do. Like for example, tonight I'd be willing to bet many people didn't know they could subscribe and get a digest version of forum posts.
Yep, we always have a few. Oh, there's one thing that I can show that we really don't have a link for, and I'm not sure what use it is, but it was annoying me that I couldn't find the industries for the weekly update as easily as I used to be. So I built a page that just simply lists all of the industries and some of the details of those. It's not linked anywhere on the site, and I'm not really sure if it's useful to anybody, but I built it because it was useful for me. So if you just go up to www.manifestinvesting.com and do a / and type industries, if you find that useful in any way, let me know, and perhaps I'll try and link it. Some of those links, maybe you call it an Easter egg on the site, something that we use and don't really publicize. So there you go, an Easter egg for tonight.
Good stuff. And Don Lana also wants to know about how about a session on doing equity analysis guide from start to finish. That YouTube video does that on Coca-Cola, but yeah, we will be definitely doing a couple more webinars, and we'll begin doing them on a fairly regular basis where we take a single company and allow questions and comments while actually filling out the Eagle during the session.
If you have missed an event or missed part of this recording or part of any recording, if Dan's in the audience and is recording the session, he puts it up and then links it on the forum under resources on the Resource Center. There's a video link right at the top. If you go to forums, click on Resource Center, Getting Started, and then click on the videos link. And he indexes all of these by date and ticker and so forth. So if he updates this post, it'll be there. If not, though, I'm sure it'll be mentioned on the site in another location.
Okay, well, I think with that we'll call it an evening, and thank everybody for coming. Send us any questions or comments that you may have, and yeah, Dan said he's going to add the equity analysis guide to that list also. For those of you that are on Facebook, you can also access the featured videos, the YouTubes, from the Manifest Facebook page. There's actually a link that says YouTube right on the left-hand sidebar, and it takes you to some of Dan's work, including that equity analysis guide. But you have any other thoughts, Kurt, for everybody?
I think that's it for tonight. I always come away with these for more work for the next day, so I've got plenty now.
All right.
No more
Thank
thoughts
you very
from
much
me
for
tonight.
doing this, Kurt. And,
Sure.
And we'll be talking.
Have a great night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.